Hello and welcome to day 25. Oh my gosh, 25 of 2025, October 2025 of Adventures in Tarot Casting. Sorry for that little glitch, but I'm not going to apologize because it's morning. Good morning. So today we are working with the Impermanence sticker. So that is this one. And this is what it looks like. Put that there. And then we have my spread that I drew in here again with Tombow markers. I also wrote things that come to mind as I'm like drawing out the spread onto here. Let go of outcomes, feed the cycles. The only certainty to life is constant change till we return to the earth. Nothing lasts forever. This is, just kind of impermanence. Everything is impermanent. The backstory to this sticker actually is a revisit to one that used to be a casting board. We had only ever released it in our old engraved casting boards. I don't even think I have it for sale anymore, but I was inspired to draw an image that was similar to this, and it was on like the 20th anniversary of September 11th. And I remember exactly where I was when that moment happened. I was living with an ex-boyfriend and I was working at Blockbuster at the time, and I remember watching it all morning on DirecTV and all day, and it was just such a crazy time. And then I was thinking about a friend had also shared that day. It was like a Buddhist teaching about the impermanence of things, and it just had me pondering and really sitting with the idea that nothing lasts forever. Everything is impermanent. Time is fleeting. The seasons are a huge reminder of the impermanence of things. As we get closer to Samhain here, you see signs of it everywhere, like the once thriving oak tree out front has dropped its acorns and the leaves are falling. Everything is cycling. Everything is getting into that stage of renewal. Impermanence brings us, we meet this throughout our life. Anytime we reinvent ourselves, anytime we meet an ending in order to get to a beginning, until we meet the big end, So I think it's a reminder that as long as we still have breath in our lungs, that we always have an opportunity to change our circumstances, change the world we live in, be that change, right? On the card that I have here, what it says is, the spread wants to help you focus on letting go of outcomes. Can you think about a time or situation that commanded so much of your thoughts that in retrospect really wasn't such a huge deal after all? Life, death, and rebirth applies to every aspect of our life. The only certainties are the cycle of change. Feel free to assign your own meanings to the layout. As always, these are merely suggestive. I am going to use a couple different decks, which I thought would be really cool to pair with this. So for the oracle card, which is here, of course, my oracle card spaces are generally round because of my nature's portals. I should probably draw another round deck so I have more things. Oh, I do have another round deck coming. Ooh, more on that later. I've said too much. But so this is going to be like the essence. It's optional, so we can either add it now or later. I'm going to add it now because I think it would be good to just know what the essence of the reading is going to be. And we're going to use the Santa Muerte Oracle by Fabio Listrani. This is the same creator of the Night Sun Tarot, which I used a little while ago, which I love. I love their art. The cool thing about this, the entire back of the cards, when they come together, they form like a big Ouija board or oracle board. It's really neat. So anyway, so we're starting with position A, which is the optional one, and this is the soul energy source from where everything began and to where it's returning. This can radiate throughout the whole reading or just be a spot of comfort to return to. And we have, what are you, 9. Okay, so let's look that up in the book because I have to be honest, I haven't worked with it as much to know exactly what the cards are, but I want to make sure we know what the essence is. Right away, I see this triangle. My eye hones in on the triangle, and I think about the water, like the emotional essence of things. But let's get to 9. World of Creations, 9. The Tlaloc, I'm probably saying that wrong, and I apologize. You can definitely correct me. So in Aztec mythology, Tlaloc is considered a god of rain and fertility, benevolent and indulgent towards the prayers and sacrifices that are offered to him. He was still worshipped with fear because although he watered fields and gave prolificacy with one hand, he could cause floods and droughts and summon lightning with the other. The advice of the dead, because this is the Book of the Dead oracle, pay attention and weigh the forces you wish to put into play because they are like the water. It can irrigate, but in excess, it can cause floods, and absence, it can cause drought. I love that my eye honed in on the water symbol because that's essentially what this is about, is just, you know, it can create and it can destroy. And without water, there is no life, right? So that is the essence of it, is just that life force. And since we are journeying with the fact that it's impermanent, you know, it brings us into these deep dives of, well, here we go, right? For the tarot card, which is the back of the mind, this is the unconscious that is influencing our mood, thoughts, actions, what we don't know or only have a hint of. I'm using the Animalis Os of Fortuna tarot deck by Megan Weber. Megan is one of the first people I met online when I first got into creating tarot decks, and we've remained friends on Facebook. Her art is just so cool. You need to check out her decks. So let's see. This is back of the mind. What is unconsciously influencing us? And we have the 3 of Wands. Look at that. That's the lizard energy from yesterday's reading coming forward to bring us through transitions, because lizards shed, the iguanas, you know, they go through their phases. But the back of the mind is saying, you know, there's a whole world out there, and how am I going to adapt to it, right? So it might not be the full focus, but it's just sitting there. It's like making the plans, waiting for things to come to pass, you know. The iguana or the lizard here in this spread doesn't know when they're going to shed their skin, but they know it's coming. They're always aware that their growth is going to cause them to shed. So then we've got the, I believe it's the Magical Child Oracle. I'm going to put the correct name in the show notes. This is by Maree Bento. Such a cute little deck. I was trying to think of what pocket decks I have. And so you could use pocket tarot cards here, but I'm going to use the Oracle because I think that it just kind of was like, hey, pick me. So this is the front of the mind. This is our conscience. This is actively pursuing or planning what we know and what we are focused on. And the way that this all lends to impermanence is because it's like our brain makes things out to be so much bigger, but in reality, our body, as we age, we can't stop that, you know? And it's like, well, we might as well do all we can with the time that we have, right? And so we have the Triumph of Light. Let's see. That is so pretty. That solar flare in the background of just showing that, you know, light, even in the dark, light will always find a way, always finds a way, which is so welcome in these turbulent times, right? So the Triumph of Light, actively pursuing or planning what we know and are focused on. We are so searching for the bright spots, for the shifts, the arrival of good over what we perceive as evil. And then we also have to remember, like impermanence, our definition of good and evil changes with each person that you meet. We can collectively agree upon things, but we also collectively disagree upon things. 3, this is the bones. So this is The structure that remains long after the worrying has passed, what has been holding us up or hindering our progress. So depending on the energy of the card, it could be holding us up or holding us back. It makes me think of these bones don't move like they used to, right? And we have eye on the prize. Oh, I love that. So this is what's been holding us up, keeping our focus on what it is that we're going after, you know, and even after the worrying has passed, we're like, okay, we've got everything out of the way that we thought maybe plans, you know, this, you've done everything that you can. You've overthought it to the point of ad nauseum. Now you just keep your eye on the prize and understand that that's going to hold you up. It's not going to hinder you, because as long as you keep focused on the triumph of your light, knowing in the back of your mind that there's a greater thing coming, it's pretty exciting when you can think about it in that respect, right? So then we have 4, dissolving. So this is what's breaking down, falling away, dematerialize. What's done is done. Let this go. This is wanting to be just, let this become part of the scenery. Ashes to ashes, right? Okay, we have flower magic. I love that that actually kind of mimics the whole idea of everything going back to the source, right? So when you keep your eye on the prize, you know that like what you're doing is for the good of what you think is good. And we're allowing the flower magic. So we're allowing, when I see that in this kind of position, I think about just, you don't need to control all of nature, because nature is going to do what it's going to do. So the flower magic, just let it go. It's not up to you to decide the changing of the seasons. They're going to do it on the timeline that they feel. We can have warmer days, colder days, but until we get into the actual winter, I trust the magic of the universe and the flower of the magic, and it's not up to me to dictate how that goes. So I'm going to let it go, because it's completely out of my hands. And then for the Lenormand, which is composting, I have, these are the action steps to salvage the nutrients or the good bits in order to feed what comes next. How to nourish this next growth phase. So if you can see, it's kind of spiraling, like the whole image of the cards. When I laid it out, I did it on like a golden ratio. That was on purpose. So this is going back into source, which brings us back into this essence, which we'll get to again. And so we have, there's that dog again. There's that cross again, and there's that key again. Oh, that's so funny. The cross and the dog are following us. That sounds like a good dog. Okay. So I'm going to put them like that. So this is the nutrients, action steps to salvage, you know, and so the cross from yesterday and the dog from yesterday, we've gotten rid of the mice, right? So we're now into the key, and the key is saying, you've been loyal to your trials, the burdens, the things that you've been carrying. Maybe you have faith, you know, not in the religious aspect, but cross can really bring about that structure of faith of what helps keep you together. And because you've been loyal to that, that is your access point. That is the part that's going to be able to bring you to that. I don't personally have a lot of religious dogma, so I don't get caught up in it. I see it as a testimony, your trials, the things that your core values maybe, but it can also be a burden, because if your core values are different from somebody else's, then there's going to be that resistance, right? So the dog is saying, you're going to be loyal to it. You're going to have friends that are in your orbit that are also going to probably reinforce those. And that is the access back to this source, to this Mayan God who is saying, hey, I am the bringer of life and death. And as long as, you know, the light triumphs, we're going to keep our eye on the prize. We're going to allow nature to take its course, and we're going to get right back into the source. And then the back of the mind, again, is that 3 of Wands going, something bigger is coming, right? So that's a way that you can use this spread. If we had done this and then we brought this in and then brought that one, that might change the whole outlook of the reading. It may not, you know, for the demo, it is what it unfolds to be. I did trim the corners off of Megan's deck, so I think if she still has these, they're squared, but I don't know why I mentioned that, I just noticed it. But anyway, let's see what we're working with tomorrow, because this is where Jamie starts to ramble. All right. At this point, I'm not even looking at the cards, I'm just moving them. Oh, we have a falling jumper, we have the deer and the woodpecker, the doe and woodpecker. So tomorrow we will be traveling with my personal favorite animal, and I'm excited to share that with you. So I will see you here tomorrow. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow me in all the spaces. Join my Patreon. I have free and paid tiers. I'm probably going to continue to do something to this nature. I don't know if it'll be daily, but I'm having fun with it, so we'll see. But that'll be over there as well. And let me know your thoughts on what's been going on. And again, I will see you here tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.